And I was about to spar. Before I was about to spar Tank, he was sparring this big boy.
A heavyweight.
Heavyweight boy. And Tank hit that nigga. He hit him so hard that he was on the top of the ropes just like this.
Oh!
Speed, Gervonta Tank Davis, if he put on the right weight, put the right weight on, and, you know, have the lean muscle right, he can look fantastic somewhere in the mid-150s, dare I say, close to 160 against Jake Paul.
In shocking unseen footage, Gervonta Tank Davis reportedly drops a heavyweight sparring partner during training for his upcoming fight with Jake Paul. The clip showcases Tank's signature power and flawless timing as he lands a brutal left hand that ends the session instantly. Fans are calling it proof that Davis's speed and precision remain unmatched, even against much larger opponents. Showbiz The Adult predicts that Gervonta Davis will weigh around 154 pounds for his fight against Jake Paul, dismissing concerns that Tank will be too small to compete. He explains that Davis has previously fought and trained at that weight, making it familiar territory. Showbiz emphasizes Tank's experience sparring with larger opponents, refining his timing, reflexes, and counterpunching. Confident, he declares that Davis's explosive power and fighting IQ give him a clear edge, boldly stating that Tank will knock out Jake Paul with ease.
150s, dare I say, close to 160 against Jake Paul. And dare I say it, I think that's the right thing for him to do. Why? I've been saying this. Number one, fighters need to start fighting closer to their walk-around weight. They're just healthier that way. They're just better and healthier that way. I mean, I know it's probably surprising them too. Like, that was the best I've seen Terrence Bud Crawford. Lamont Roach, he's fighting Pitbull at 140, coming from 130 and a pit stop at 135. You have Shakur Stevenson talking about fighting Teofimo Lopez. They're very close to making that fight at 140. And I think all of them would look their best there, especially Roach, where he ain't knocking nobody out down there at 130. But I bet you he'll be swatting far more at 140. Gervonta Tank Davis, I think, just like the others, fighting closer to your walk-around weight is just going to be one of the better performances for Gervonta Tank Davis. He's going to learn a lot about his body. He's going to learn a lot about himself and where he should campaign moving forward. Maybe even meeting Roach in that rematch at 140 himself. Also, another reason why I think it behooves him to come in knocking at 160 pounds is because of Jake Paul. It's not like Tank is going to dodge every punch Jake Paul throws, all right? Some of those going to land, and more than likely it's going to land on his guard. Tank is going to have this guard up. We need for him to be solid enough, his foundation and his base solid enough, so when Jake Paul hits him with those shots, he doesn't go flying around the ring.
Tank has regularly sparred with much bigger opponents to prepare for the Paul fight. This isn't new for him. Since the start of his career, Davis has tested himself against heavier fighters, sharpening his skills and power. His ability to handle larger opponents has been a consistent part of his development, and his incredible power and fight IQ make handling bigger men a strength rather than a weakness. Recent training footage shows Gervonta Davis looking sharper, leaner, and more focused than ever. Every punch is delivered with power and precision, reflecting years of discipline. His footwork appears light but authoritative, and his movements demonstrate fluidity and control. Observers note the intensity in his eyes and the seamless blend of speed and power, indicating he's in top form. Experts across the boxing community believe his condition is better than in years past, describing him as ready for war. The ongoing debate centers on whether his skill can overcome the size disadvantage, with supporters arguing that boxing is about timing, discipline, and technique, traits Davis exemplifies. His team remains confident that his experience with pressure and movement will turn Jake Paul's size into an advantage for Davis. Lamont Roach has voiced dissatisfaction with Davis, hinting at unresolved issues and stirring controversy. His recent remarks suggest envy over Tank's success and earning power. Once respectful, Roach's tone now carries bitterness, reflecting frustration at Davis's dominance and financial gains. Some analysts see Roach's comments as emotional reactions fueled by rivalry and rivalry's tendency to become personal when money and fame are involved. Davis, however, stays focused, allowing his training and performance to speak for him.
It is happening. WBA lightweight champion Gervonta Davis, who's unbeaten in 31 professional contests, takes on the self-proclaimed problem child Jake Paul, one of the most influential and marketable global personalities. Paul and Davis square off in Miami after doubts around the fight being sanctioned in Georgia triggered a change in venue. Neither fighter can weigh more than 195 pounds. The weight is perhaps the most surprising factor. Paul has boxed most of his career around 200 pounds, the cruiserweight limit, but did tip the scales at 227 pounds when he faced off against Iron Mike Tyson last year. Davis, much smaller in stature, competes at the 135 pound mark and has also won world honours at super featherweight.
And despite some discussions about possibly dropping down to 10 ounces, the pair seem set to wear 12-ounce gloves.
And in terms of distance, despite the exhibition tag, the fight will play out over 10 3-minute rounds with 3 scoring judges at ringside, but the result will not be officially recorded on their professional records.
Boxing experts often highlight that Davis doesn't get enough credit for his accomplishments. They argue that fighting and beating him often elevates opponents' profiles, showcasing Davis's star power. Fighters who step into the ring with him frequently gain recognition, which underscores his influence in the sport. Critics who claim his competition isn't strong enough are reminded that his presence alone can make or break a fighter's career. Analysts see Davis not just as a knockout artist but as a key figure carrying the spotlight of boxing's current landscape.
Off rip, the question is direct. Reportedly, Tank's gonna make $40 million around there to fight Jake Paul. Would you do the same thing if you were in the situation? And he's like, actually, this is what I explained before. You're beating around the bush. It's really a yes or no. I would do it. I would take the 40 mil, or I wouldn't take the 40 mil. But let's listen to this long, drawn out explanation.
There's about $40 million that he's going to get paid. If you were in his shoes, wouldn't you do the same thing?
See, now, this is something that I explain and express, and I hope everybody gets. That opportunity is an opportunity that you probably cannot pass up. But it's about how you handle it. It's about how you go about it. A lot of people don't know that he actually exercised his rights to the rematch, so that contractually binds us to a fight. You cannot breach that unless you do what you have to do to handle the business, to be like, okay, well, we mutually agree to let you move on or swindle around and fight Jake Paul for this money. If you think I'm going to sit back by the wayside and sit there and be like, well, even though I'm contracted to fight this guy for this amount of money on this certain day, I'm just going to sit here and be cool with, oh, he might not ever fight me, and he's going to go fight and get paid and get this money, and I'm not supposed to get anything.
Ongoing discussion in the boxing world about Gervonta Davis and Gervonta Davis, his resume, who he's going to fight, the competitors that he's going to fight. And every once in a while, something happens that proves that Gervonta Davis is the face of that. If he's not the face of boxing because people just don't want him to be that, man, he is real close to it, because other than Canelo Alvarez, and even consider Canelo Alvarez included, nobody in boxing has divisions circulating around him like Gervonta Davis does. And that was proved during this Lamont Roach versus Pitbull Cruz announcement for their pay-per-view. Just think about this. Gervonta Davis, they always say that Gervonta Davis has a poor resume, but yet Gervonta Davis, guys that fight Gervonta Davis, lose to Gervonta Davis, or get a draw to Gervonta Davis, can fight one another and make an anticipated pay-per-view between the two of them. Because that fight with Pitbull Cruz is a very, very popular fighter with Mexican fight fans. Lamont Roach got a lot of name exposure with black fight fans and Mexican fight fans and white fight fans, all with his draw that he got against Gervonta Davis. Now they believe that this is going to be able to be a profitable endeavor for a pay-per-view. Now, let me also tell you that Rolly Romero, who was somebody else that Gervonta Davis fought in the past, will be on a pay-per-view that's going to be successful, most likely, when he defends his WBC